Erikson versus Piaget by Aaron Carmichael, Madison Fraser, and Lydia Silver. This presentation will analyze the developmental theories of the psychologists Erikson and Piaget. Erikson presents a psychological theory of development broken down into 8 stages, while Piaget theorizes that there are 4 stages of cognitive development throughout an individual's life. After these theories are broadly overviewed, this presentation will focus on these theories at the stage of middle childhood. Thorough comparisons and applications of development are evaluated at this stage of a child's life, coupled by crucial practical factors that can assist a child during these times of development.
Erik Erikson proposed a psychoanalytic theory of psychosocial development composed of 8 stages from infancy to adulthood. During each stage, the person experiences a psychosocial crisis that could positively or negatively affect personality development. Erikson states that the ego develops as it successfully resolves crises that are distinctly social in nature. These involve establishing a sense of trust in others, developing a sense of identity in society, and helping the next generation prepare for the future. The first stage is trust versus mistrust. From birth to age 1.5, the infant is uncertain about the world in which they live in. To resolve these feelings of uncertainty, the infant depends on their parents for stability and consistency of care. If the care the infant receives is consistent, predictable, and reliable, they will develop a sense of trust which will carry them with them to other relationships, and they will be able to feel secure even when they are threatened. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of hope. By developing a sense of trust, the infant can be comforted by the fact that if new problems occur, there will be most likely other people to be there as a source of support. Failing to acquire the virtue of hope will lead to the development of fear. Autonomy versus shame is the second stage. This stage covers ages 1.5 to 3. The child is developing physically and becoming more active. The child is discovering that he or she has many skills and abilities, which illustrate the child's growing sense of independence and autonomy. Erikson states it is critical that parents allow their children to explore the limits of their abilities within an encouraging environment which is tolerant of failure. A delicate balance is required from the parent. They must try not to do everything for the child, but if the child fails at a particular task, they must not criticize the child for failures and accidents. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of will. The third stage is initiative versus guilt. Children ages 3 to 5 become more assertive. These are particularly lively, rapid developing years in a child's life. Central to this stage is play, as it provides children with the opportunity to explore their interpersonal skills. Children begin to plan activities, make up games, and initiate activities with others. If given this opportunity, children develop a sense of initiative and feel secure in their ability to lead others and make decisions. It is at this stage that the child will begin to ask many questions as his thirst for knowledge grows. A healthy balance between initiative and guilt is important. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of purpose. Industry versus inferiority is the fourth stage. Children ages 5 to 12 are at the stage where they will be learning to read and write and to do things on their own. Teachers begin to take an important role in the child's life as they teach the child specific skills. It is at this stage that the child's peer group will gain greater significance and will become a major source of the child's self-esteem. The child now feels the need to win approval by demonstrating specific competencies that are valued by society and begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of competence. The fifth stage is identity versus role confusion, and it occurs during adolescence from about 12 to 18 years. During this stage, adolescents search for a sense of self and personal identity through an intense exploration of personal values, beliefs, and goals. This is a major stage of development where the child has to learn the roles he will occupy as an adult. It is during this stage that the adolescent will try to figure out their true identity. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of fidelity. Fidelity involves being able to commit oneself to others on the basis of accepting others, even when there may be ideological differences. Intimacy versus isolation is the sixth stage. Occurring in young adulthood from ages 18 to 40, we begin to share ourselves more intimately with others. We explore relationships leading toward longer-term commitments with someone other than a family member. Successful completion of this stage can result in happy relationships and a sense of commitment, safety, and care within a relationship. Avoiding intimacy, fear and commitment in relationships can lead to isolation, loneliness, and sometimes depression. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of love. The seventh stage is generativity versus stagnation. During middle adulthood from ages 40 to 65, we establish our careers, settle down within a relationship, begin our own families, and develop a sense of being a part of the bigger picture. We give back to society through raising our children, being productive at work, and becoming involved in community activities and organizations. By failing to achieve these objectives, we become stagnant and feel unproductive. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of care. Ego, integrity versus disparity is the 8th and final stage. As we grow older and become senior citizens, usually around ages 65 and up, we tend to slow down our productivity and explore life as a retired person. It is during this time that we contemplate our accomplishments and can develop integrity if we see ourselves as leading a successful life. Erikson believed if we see our lives as unproductive, feel guilt about our past, or feel that we did not accomplish our life goals, we become dissatisfied with life and develop despair, often leading to depression and hopelessness. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of wisdom. Wisdom enables a person to look back on their life with a sense of closure and completeness, and also accept death without fear. The first stage of Piaget's cognitive development theory is the sensory motor stage. This covers the ages birth to 2 years old. In this period, intelligence is demonstrated through motor activity without the use of symbols. This is the ability to make one thing, a word or an object, stand for something other than itself. Knowledge of the world is limited, but developing, because it's based on physical interactions and experiences. Children acquire object permanence at about 7 months of age, knowing that an object still exists, even if it is hidden. It requires the ability to form a mental representation of the object. Physical development allows the child to begin developing new intellectual abilities. Some symbolic language abilities are developed at the end of this stage. Preoperational is the second stage. In this period of toddler and early childhood, intelligence is demonstrated through the use of symbols, language use matures, and memory and imagination are developed, but thinking is done in a non-logical, non-reversible manner. Thinking is still egocentric, and the infant has difficulty taking the viewpoint of others. The third stage is concrete operational. This stage, which focuses on elementary and early adolescence, is characterized by 7 types of conservation: number, length, liquid, mass, weight, area, and volume. Conservation is the understanding that something stays the same in quantity even though its appearance changes. In this stage, intelligence is demonstrated through logical and systematic manipulation of symbols related to concrete objects. Piaget considered the concrete stage a major turning point in the child's cognitive development because it marks the beginning of logical or operational thought, meaning mental actions that are reversible. Also, during this stage, egocentric thought diminishes. Formal operational stage is the 4th and final stage, which covers adolescence and adulthood. In this stage, intelligence is demonstrated through the logical use of symbols related to abstract concepts. Early in the period, there is a return to egocentric thought. Only 35% of high school graduates in industrialized countries obtain formal operations. Many people do not think formally during adulthood.
In our presentation, we are focusing on analyzing the stages of development during middle childhood as theorized by Erikson and Piaget. As children in this stage of Erikson's industry versus inferiority begin to notice what is valued by society, they feel inferior if they cannot personally achieve it. Because they are learning how to work on their own, they need to know that they are trusted by their teachers, parents, and authority figures. As children take charge of their own work, they begin to notice others' work as well, in comparison to their own. Children begin to notice society's values and where they fit in. For example, a child who has little athletic ability will begin to see that they are not as fast or as talented as other children on their team. If not properly encouraged, they may begin to feel self-conscious about their shortcomings to social values. Piaget suggests that at the same age, the adolescent is developing into concrete operational thought. The logical processing and operations are now applied to physical objects. For example, if one is told that there are 5 people in a car and then asked how many there would be if 2 got out, he or she should be able to give the answer 3 without having to physically see the situation. During the concrete operational stage, the adolescent should begin to use inductive logic. This means that he or she can apply a specific experience to a general principle. If he notices that he gets a headache and feels dizzy whenever he forgets to drink water, he can reason that he can become dehydrated from lack of water. Children develop logical thought through this stage, but cannot yet consider hypothetical or abstract situations. When looking at middle childhood within these 2 theories, there are a few similarities and differences. Both theories focus on the child's aspect of sociocentric ways of thinking during middle childhood and both psychological and cognitive development. During middle childhood, children are beginning to learn how to better function independently and on their own while applying their surroundings to their ways of thinking and analyzing psychological and cognitive situations. The main difference between these two psychologists and their theories is that Erikson focuses on the psychosocial developments of an individual, while Piaget looks at one's cognitive development. With Erikson's theory, he proposes the idea of positive reinforcement to help the children develop healthily mentally. This encouragement will help the child adapt to their new perception of placing societal values on themselves and relieve some of the pressure that they begin to put on themselves in order to appear capable to their peers. However, there is a balance that needs to be established in the child's life in order for the child to effectively grow in their mental capacities. If the child has too much positive reinforcement, it is easy for them to develop a sense of pride, while the lack of encouragement may lead to a decrease of self-esteem and a feeling of inferiority among the child's peers. On the other hand, Piaget still focuses on the peer group that gains significance in the child's life, but takes the stand as an advocate for decreased feelings of egocentrism and individuality within the child. This differs from Erikson in a way that Piaget highlights the importance of the decreased egocentrism in children in order to cognitively develop, while Erikson promotes finding that balance of sociocentric thinking and child individuality in an attempt to eliminate feelings of inferiority, increasing self-esteem and mental health of children at this stage.
We have applied these two stages by answering the questions: what does the development look like in each stage, and how can parents facilitate healthy development? In order for parents and teachers to facilitate healthy development, no additional negative comparison should be made between adolescents and their peers. Parents should be aware of their child's peer group because it is in this stage that peers play an influential role in one's social identity. Healthy failure is appropriate and sometimes encouraged for a child, but the response of the parents and teachers to failure is crucial to positive development. Parents and teachers should seek to encourage and reinforce a child's initiative and work as opposed to focusing on the result. If a child fails an exam, for example, the parent's response should not focus on the failing or the other student's successes, but instead on the causation, such as the amount of time studying, methods of studying, etc. Overall, communication and encouragement are the most crucial factors to healthy development in Erikson's stage of industry versus inferiority. To facilitate development, according to Piaget, parents and teachers should attempt to provide opportunities for the child to exercise applied logic. As the term suggests, the child's operations are concrete because they are based on personal experiences and observations. Therefore, more experiences will advance the child's development through this stage. As a child is able to understand that other people have different perspectives from themselves, a parent should attempt to ask the child, "How do you think so-and-so felt when you won the game?" Probing into causations can allow the parent or teacher to push the child into connecting the dots in situations.
In conclusion, Erikson and Piaget both developed theories that effectively analyze individual psychosocial or cognitive development at different stages of life. Through our analysis, we have highlighted middle childhood through the developmental theories of Erikson and Piaget. While Piaget's theories focus on cognitive development and Erikson is focused on psychosocial development, both theories identify milestones in human growth and development.